Hello friend, welcome to Philosol. My name is Ollie and I would like to share with you some profound insight that I recently discovered about myself. So, I do things to further my life goals, right? I make content for Philosol, I write, I learn what I want to learn, I have a job. I also do some things that are less productive. I will watch YouTube videos, I will play games, watch TV. Lots of people, probably you watching, we have free time and we have things we do in that free time to entertain ourselves, to unwind, right? I'm not saying anything surprising here, nothing new. So a while back, I realized that I was spending more time than I meant to on these unproductive things, right? And I wasn't furthering my goals. And I began to think, why am I doing this, right? What am I trying to get out of this unproductive stuff? And long story short, I eventually learned that I did not have a healthy relationship with entertainment. I was doing it for stimulation and like artificial fulfillment. So with this video, I want to demonstrate a little bit about how I came to realize that, why it was unhealthy for me, and also what a healthy relationship with entertainment is. To really show you my path leading up to this particular transformation, I'd have to tell you a lot about my life in the past couple of years, and of course that is a huge topic, and that is outside the scope of this video. So here's the sort of Cliff's Notes version, what you kind of need to know about where I was at. So I was really depressed, I was really unmotivated. And, I had things I wanted to do, things I was passionate about, and I can say I'm in a much better place now, and I am working on them. One of them is actually this channel. And it's been going on for just over a month now. But it was difficult for me because I had a lack of confidence and a lot of pain that I was still working through due to various things in my life. I felt unmotivated, unhappy, unfulfilled. And I wasn't feeling fulfilled because I wasn't doing anything with my life that was fulfilling, right? And but I wanted to transform myself. I wanted to get out of it. This is my life's journey, right? It's what I have to do in my life. And by doing this, going through my journey, I realized how much time I was wasting watching YouTube videos or whatever. And it's a nasty cycle because I felt bad. I felt bad because I wasn't doing anything productive, and I would cope with that feeling by doing more unproductive things like watching stupid YouTube videos, right? So it kind of fed into itself. And I did this for the sake of stimulation in my life, or like an artificial patch for fulfillment, which I didn't feel. The idea that, I could consume this entertaining content and that would give me some joy in my life, and that could maybe sort of kind of cover up a lack of purpose that I was feeling. Not really true, obviously, but I find a lot of people do that. I know I did a lot. And of course, there wasn't anything particularly bad about this content, the TV I would watch, the games I would play, the videos I would watch. There's nothing particularly bad about them in and of itself, right? But my relationship with them was very unhealthy. And I finally realized this, and I began to take the steps to reshape myself and to reshape my relationship with unproductive activities. So what is a healthy relationship with unproductive activity or entertainment? So of course there are YouTube channels, video games, TV shows, whatever, that I love. I really enjoy them, and I still do these things, right? It's about having a healthy relationship with them. And so what I do is I make sure to go in consciously, mindfully, to recharge myself, right? The key here is intention and mindset. I can do these things with the mindset of wanting to avoid my life, or I can go in with the mindset that this is fun and it serves me as a break of whatever I'm working on to refresh myself for the sake of jumping back into it later in a better, refreshed state. Okay? I'm watching stupid YouTube videos as a tactical move for the sake of more productivity. Okay? you see the difference? In one mindset, I'm trying to avoid my life, and in the other mindset, I'm preparing myself to jump back into my life in a better state. It's a key distinction. And yet it's easy to view both actions, both mindsets, as simply unwinding because you're stressed or burnt out. I totally understand if you're working, whether it's your job or a personal project or even just working through your life circumstances, if you want to take time off to not focus on it, right? That's normal. Everybody does it. I do it. I'm not knocking that at all, of course. It can be healthy to refresh yourself. That's what I'm trying to cover in this video. In fact, it's actually been hard for me to get into the headspace of making this video. I've been kind of burned out between work and life and whatnot. I'm actually making this video the day before I'm posting it. Usually I get these done like a week in advance or even a little more. So here's the key to processing that in a healthy way, that burnout. I find personally it's too easy for me to let myself get beat down and get into a negative attitude because of life, work, burnout, whatever. But if I instead keep the attitude of wanting to progress, wanting to continue working on my goals and achieving my goals, which I can do now because I have that confidence, which is something I had to work through in myself, because for a long time I didn't have that. But if I keep that good attitude, then I'm able to go into these things and realize this is just to recharge me. It's not like I turn on a video and say, all right, time to recharge, but I'm more aware of why I'm doing it. And it can be subtle. It's a subtle distinction. But not only has this helped me become more conscious of the amount of time that I'm not directly working on my goals, but I have a healthier relationship with these unproductive things, and I feel less guilty spending time doing these things. And also, funny thing is, I realized that, a funny YouTube video, it's funnier now. I have more fun playing a game, right? Because I'm not doing it anymore just to numb myself, just to cope. I'm doing it to appreciate it for what it is, because I'm looking for that good, fun experience to refresh myself, to get myself to a good place. Another thing I want to mention is that I realized that personally I need to be really careful of what's in the stuff that I watch. I want something that lifts me up, right? So an obvious choice would be something like Ed Mylett or Kyle Cease, both great content, by the way. I'll put links to their channels and stuff. Self-help, personal development type stuff. And that can be really good for me, definitely. But sometimes I'm not in the mood for that. I don't always need to be focusing on okay, how can I improve, right? I can get burnt out from that too. Sometimes I just want something that's fun and silly, right? But I do want to fill my head with good stuff. It should be, for me, it should be fun. It should be perhaps uplifting, funny. Laughter is the best medicine. There's a lot of truth to that saying. Of course, you do what works for you. I'm not here to tell you what not to watch. But a good choice for me personally is a YouTuber by the name of Ninkendo, and he does really silly videos on Super Smash Brothers, which is one of my favorite video games. And he does 10-15 minute videos. They're really clever and really stupid at the same time, and the other thing is he's pretty clean, he doesn't really cuss. He's not particularly vulgar. He's probably PG to PG-13, I'd say. Of course, parents make your decisions. But that's really good for me. It's nice and clean, gets me to laugh really good. He does what he does, and he does it well. This is a strategic move for me, okay? Obviously, watching Ninkendo, as great as he is, thanks, man, for all your great content. It really has helped me a lot. Shout out. Watching Ninkendo obviously isn't directly working on Philisol or my writing or my fitness or anything like that, the really important things in life, not directly, but it is putting me in a refreshed state, which then prepares me for better productivity, which is hugely important. And that's my intention going into it. I'm watching Ninkendo for the sake of jumping back into work, and I'm very conscious about what I'm doing and how much time I spend on watching videos, playing games, whatever. I know I don't really want to spend more than a couple hours doing something like this. I don't need to spend that much time. And that's not saying I'm perfect. Sometimes I do spend that much time or more. It ebbs and flows. But where I'm at now is so much better than where I was 6 months ago or whatever, right? And I know it's difficult. It took me a long time to get here, and I have a ways to go. But, I wanted to share some of the key lessons here. No matter where you're at, and the fact that I still have a ways to go, there are great lessons here. Obviously, my whole journey on this is very long outside the scope of this video, but the key value I want to convey to you is that if you are mindful and you pay attention to why you're doing what you're doing, you can use that information to make a healthier, better decision on your mindset when going into whatever your actions are, especially things that aren't directly productive, right? And that prepares you to get back into work more easily, more willingly, with more excitement, right? Rather than just wasting a whole lot of your own precious, valuable time. It's easy to get stressed out and say that you're doing this stuff just because you're tired or whatever, but I've found for me that I wasn't really doing this to refuel myself like I'm doing more often now. I was doing it before when I was depressed and everything. I was doing it to just burn time and get lost and numb. And once I began being mindful, I was able to start the path of really feeling better about doing these unproductive things, and so a healthy relationship. The thing is, we do everything for some purpose. Everything we do for a reason, even just blinking, right? We do that because our eyes feel like they need to blink, right? There's some purpose. And I think, I really believe that we're only going to be helping ourselves if we're just open and honest with ourselves about why we're doing the things we're doing, right? Paying attention to it, being mindful is really important, I think. I know it's served me very well. And so I was able to be a lot more deliberate and strategic about the things that I do and why I do the things that I do and how much time I spend doing them. And, I'm not perfect about it. It's not like I'm only ever doing things that serve me, but I'm a lot better than before. It's already made a huge difference in my life, not only how I spend my time and my productivity level. You wouldn't be watching this video if it weren't for this, but just how much I enjoy my life. I'm just happier to be alive more now than I was, a few months ago, and that means a lot. I know I left out a lot of details in this video, giving you a complete picture of how I dealt with all my anxiety and depression and lack of confidence. Is a big, long story. And if you're in a dark place right now, I know I didn't mention much about how I worked through that, but what I can tell you is that being mindful and honest with myself about why I'm doing what I'm doing was a huge step in healing my issues. I was able to start taking control of my actions and start taking control of my life, and obviously that's a huge, huge step. So I really do hope that you got something out of this, no matter where you are right now in your journey. And maybe sometime I will talk more about those experiences. We'll see. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. I really hope you got something out of this. We have comments down below, so please, ask questions. If you have questions, share your experiences, your perspective. I would love to hear it, and we're all growing together. So, and also, please feel free to share this video with anybody you feel can glean something good from this. Thank you so much. Much love.